Many of you will have regular locums who are familiar with your store, and indeed they'll feel like part of your team. However, it is important that when you have a new locum or someone that isn't familiar with your store, that you use the induction checklist to make sure they have all the information that they need. The locum induction checklist will include things such as the staff and their responsibilities and any services that you may offer in your pharmacy. The checklist is designed to provide the locum with all the information they need for the smooth running of your store whilst they are in charge of it. To help with any new starters that you have, we've produced a new starter induction checklist. The checklist has been populated with suggestions of topics that you should cover within the first few days or weeks of somebody's start. You can of course add or delete any items to make it suit your business. What it is important to do though is to ensure that everybody gets a consistent induction, and using a structured process will help you with this. There's also an area at the back of the form for both you and the employee to sign, which can also be used as evidence at a later date if there's any question about training that has been provided. The personal development plan is a tool that can be used with individual team members to identify areas that they may require or want to have further development or training in, and also areas that as a business you believe are important not only for the present but for future planning. The personnel and training record is designed to be used when people start employment with you. However, it is important that every employee has one of these records, so it may be necessary to collate the information retrospectively. The document covers probationary review periods, and also there's an area where you can record references. Moving on, there are two separate pages, the first one covering mandatory training and the second one generic or group training. You should use these spaces to record any training undertaken previously, particularly with mandatory training that they may have undertaken at previous employers, and also any training that they've participated in or received whilst they are in employment with you. The Succession Planning Risk Assessment document is a simple yet effective document to help you mitigate risk. You simply enter everybody's name on and the risk of leaving, high, medium or low. Adjacent to that you add the impact, high, medium or low. Then consider the people that are at high risk of leaving and high impact on the business. And clearly where you have too high impact, i.e. risk of leaving or impact on the business, then you need to have some plans in place should that person leave. As you get further down with mixtures of high and medium or medium with medium, then it's up to you to make a judgment call as to the risk this poses for your business and what actions, if any, you need to take now in order to mitigate that risk. Appraisals are often dreaded, not just by the appraisor but by the appraisee as well. This shouldn't really be the case because the appraisal should be a summary of discussions that have been had throughout the year. The paperwork can also be quite complicated, and we've designed a form that is simple to use that should aid the structure of the conversation during the appraisal. The first part of the form is designed to be filled in by the employee prior to the appraisal, and is designed to help them focus on what they've done well and enjoyed doing throughout the year, and the areas that maybe they'd have done something differently. Section 2 is for use during the appraisal, and again this provides structure to the conversation, linking it back to personal objectives and the performance standards that are required of that employee. Finally, there's an area for objective setting for the following period. This can be done during the appraisal but doesn't necessarily have to be, and can be completed at a further date. There's also a ratings guide on the end that we have suggested for you to use, but once again it's entirely up to you the performance ratings that you use. The appraisal process should really be a summary of conversations that you have had with your employee throughout the year. To help with this, we've produced a one-to-one document with a suggested timescale of every month. However, since it's a Word document, you can populate it to meet the requirements of your particular business. The document is designed to have a review of what's happened during the previous month and also look forward to the activities that need to be undertaken in the following month, therefore helping with planning and also assessing any training and development needs of that employee. The team meeting template is another simple document designed to help you record any minutes or actions from any team meetings that you might have. The team meetings don't need to be complicated or formal, they can still be informal, but a record of points discussed should be maintained. This not only is useful to refer to at a later date, but any members of staff who may not be able to attend the meeting can refer to the document to understand what has been discussed and ask any questions if necessary. The template is designed to have minutes as well as actions, so rather than a simple checklist of what needs to be done, the explanation of why or the points discussed for information can be recorded there for reference at a later date. The GPhC inspector will be looking for evidence of staff empowerment. One of the ways of evidencing this is through a record of staff suggestions. Another simple document designed for you to record any suggestions that staff make. You may choose to have something such as a suggestion box, but this probably isn't necessary. All you need to do is ensure that you make a note to record anything that somebody suggested on the document for reference at a later date. The induction process, SOP, is a really simple linear process that covers a number of points that you need to consider when planning an induction. Whistleblowing is high on the NHS agenda after a number of scandals in NHS trusts. So an inspector may ask you to describe what you would do if you found someone in the pharmacy who was not following procedures and putting patients in danger. You have a duty of care to report any concerns to your manager, be that the pharmacist, superintendent or pharmacy owner. If it's a person in authority within the pharmacy that you have concerns about, you should speak to another person within the company that is of managerial level, for example the superintendent or pharmacy owner. If you're unable to speak to these people, then you can contact the Public Concern at Work telephone advice line. So what is whistleblowing? According to Wikipedia, a whistleblower is a person who exposes misconduct, alleged dishonest or illegal activity occurring in an organisation. The alleged misconduct may be classified in many ways. For example, a violation of a law, rule, regulation and/or a direct threat to public interest, such as fraud, health and safety violations and corruption. Whistleblowers may take their allegations internally, for example to other people within the accused organisation, or externally to regulators, law enforcement agencies, to the media or to groups concerned with the issues. Each pharmacy should have a whistleblowing policy in place, and every member of staff should be aware of the policy and what to do if they have any concerns. A template whistleblowing policy is available on Newmark.net. One of the areas that the GPhC inspector will be looking for is to check that you have adequate staffing in place. To help you with this, we've prepared a staff rota. This is a Word document that you can manipulate to suit your needs. Here we've divided it into dispensary and counter staff and also included an area where you can record next week's holiday. To help keep track of any holiday booked, we suggest that staff use this holiday request form. The form is designed to be used in advance where any requests for holiday are recorded on the form and countersigned by the line manager. Once the line manager has signed the form and approved the holiday, this can be entered onto a master planner. The mandatory training matrix is another document that can be used as evidence for the GPhC inspector. It simply records the team members within your store and the level of training that they've received. This will help you show any training that they have had and identify any gaps that may need addressing.